All right, hey guys, how's it going? I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the fencing situation that we had for our pigs. And kind of what I found works for us. Doesn't mean it's gonna be the same thing that works for you, but this is sort of the process that I went through and what I'm thinking for next steps. So when we first got our pigs, they weren't trained to electric. So pretty important to figure out if they're trained to electric or not ahead of time. Because if they're not, you're gonna need to train them. I didn't realize that if they got shocked, they would just run straight forward. So I had some poly wire first. So poly wire is just this wire here, and you just run one, or I mean, for the pigs, you'll probably do 2 long strands of it, you know, in like a ring, just like a normal electric fence. And that didn't keep them in because it shocked them and they just ran straight through it. So then I took that up and I put down some hog netting that I got from Premier One. And I'm gonna show you that netting really quick. I'm walking down to it. But I put down the netting and had a very similar issue. So this is that netting. You've seen it in other videos if you watch them, but it's got these big thick poles, which are really good because you're gonna have a lot of pressure. I'll show you another spot here in a second. A lot of pressure on them from the pigs just shoving dirt and wood, and you can see that big pile just pushing up against it. So you want to use the hog netting if you use netting, because it can handle that pressure. I mean, I've still bent a couple of posts a little bit, but they've survived. So I put that up, and of course the pigs weren't trained to electric, so they ran through it again. Then I had a pig tangled up inside of electric netting, which is not a fun situation to be in. So then next, we had to put up a physical barrier. So it was woven wire, and we put it up in this area here. So we had like a perimeter of woven wire here, and then we had the electrical netting inside of it. So that way the pigs could hit the woven, or hit the electrical netting, but they couldn't run through the woven wire because it was connected to T-posts that were driven into the ground in a big ring. So that allowed them the opportunity to get trained to the electrical netting. And then after that, I made a couple of moves where they went to like this spot, a spot over here, a spot further over this brush pile. And then when I brought them over here to like their third spot, I said, hey, I'm gonna try the poly wire again. Now, the poly wire didn't work. I think the reason is because I had a weaker fence charger at the time, because they were fighting the netting a little bit, and they also, so they weren't respecting the netting, and then they also weren't respecting the poly wire within like a week of each other. So the issue there may have been that I needed a stronger fence charger. So they might respect the wire now if I tried to use it again, but for peace of mind, I haven't, because the netting has worked really well for us since getting the new charger. And so now we just move around 2 sets of the netting everywhere. Now they also make poly rope, which is like a fatter, thicker version of poly wire that's a little bit more durable. And that might not be a bad option either. But I just found that the electrical netting worked better for us than the poly wire. I do need to still go back and experiment and just see if it was the fence charger that was causing us issues or not. But if you're getting started and your pigs are not trained to electric, definitely have a physical barrier, and then whatever you want to test, whether it's poly wire, poly rope, electrical netting, figure out what it is that you want to test, and make sure you have a physical barrier. Honestly, even if they're trained to electric, because you never know, I guess, unless you see them inside of electrical netting, I would probably do that initially after the experiences that I've had with them getting out and trying to get them back in and everything, because until you kind of like build that trust and get them to be able to listen to you and follow you and want to be around you, it's harder to get them back into that netting, because I mean, they're skittish, they're in a new environment, they don't know what's going on. So last thing is, I got this netting for the goats, and it might look tempting to get this for the pigs because it's 164 feet long. It is taller, and I think it might also either be cheaper or the same price. But the difference is, one, it is taller, but these poles are like half of, or a third of the girth of the poles that come with the hog netting. So the hog netting is shorter, but then those poles are a lot thicker, and they don't really like wobble around. You can see this, like if I were hammering this, I mean, it's gonna have like a good amount of wobble to it if I'm trying to hammer that in, and I don't really get that with the hog netting whenever I'm driving it into the ground. So anyway, that's really it. I just wanted to kind of give you my experience so far with this netting. Oh, you know, one other thing I will say that I don't like about the pig netting is the bottom portion of the pig netting is electrified. It's not for like this netting and for like a lot of chicken nettings or poultry nettings and stuff. So I get that that's probably because the pigs are gonna potentially put their nose up under there and kind of scoop under and get out, which they did do with this wire when it wasn't charged well. But the wire sits a couple inches off the ground, but the way they mount stuff up, I wish the bottom one wasn't charged, just so it wouldn't ground out as easy. But with a bigger charger that hasn't, it's a 3 joule energizer. I say charger, I guess energizer is the right word. It hasn't been an issue. So anyway, rambling now. I'm gonna cut it off here, and I'll see you guys next time.